Hey friends, this is Carrie and welcome back to I Like Reddit channel. Today we have a variety of stories out of some different subreddits. Let's begin. Our first story is by Paranoid Pyramid. Entitled Parents brings their 5 or 6-year-old daughter to see the Joker. Yes, you saw that correctly. They took their 5 or 6-year-old daughter to see an R-rated movie with blood and violence. But ignoring that for now, let's get on with the story. I walk into the theater with my boyfriend and immediately I can hear the kid being as loud as physically possible. Okay, whatever. As long as she isn't making noise during the movie, I don't really care. The movie starts and all is fine for about 2 minutes. Until the kid starts talking loudly. Everybody ignored it for a while, deciding to try and focus on the movie. It worked, for a little bit at least. I look over about an hour into the movie, and the stupid kid scared the crap out of me. She's standing there, right beside me, waving her fingers in my face, making noise. What the hell? Who lets their kid wander around the theater? The kid's parents refused to get her, but I eventually was left alone again, as the dad begrudgingly got up and yelled at her to come back over. Once again, the kid is being as loud as can be. Finally, someone had enough. You can hear a royally irritated guy sitting somewhere behind us shout, "Seriously? The whole effing movie? Get the kid out of here." They didn't leave. Refused to, actually, but I guess they realized that nobody in the theater was on their side, and they made their daughter shut the heck up. I know I should have said something, but I didn't want to be that jerk who disturbs the movie, especially considering I wanted to watch it. Funny enough, I saw them out in the parking lot afterwards. They were talking on their phones and completely ignoring that kid. Honestly, I feel bad for her, having to be raised by such inconsiderate parents. Edit. R means restricted. Children under 17 are required to be accompanied by a parent or adult guardian. Opie says that they didn't want to be that person that gets these people kicked out of the movie, but if the movie is that violent, and I've also heard that it was pretty violent, then this kid shouldn't have been seeing the movie in the first place. And I mean, if this is an evening movie, the other people in the theater paid probably upwards of $15 to see that movie, and these people are they're letting their kid harass other moviegoers. They shouldn't have been there. And if I were OP, I would have went out and got one of the theater people and got those 2 people and their kid kicked out, because that's not fair to everybody else in the theater. Anyway, on to the next story. Hey again, friends. If you're enjoying my content, please drop some trees in the comments section down below. Thank you. Our next story is by Bambi_million. Entitled uncle and entitled aunt want full access to the house I bought. My entitled uncle and his wife, entitled aunt, have reared their ugly personas after disappearing for a period of time. My sister has loose lips and let it out that I finally bought a home after years of saving and help/support from my family. Thanks again, Mom and Dad. It got out to the rest of my family. Cue the entitled relatives demanding full access to my new place. I just got the keys and have just started to clean it up, and already entitled aunt is demanding the address and a spare set of keys, even though she lives in a completely different state. My entitled uncle is trying to reserve my guest room for himself and entitled aunt and their kids. Apparently, I should give him the master bedroom to use for the entire summer. Yes, the entire summer. Luckily, I haven't heard the full conversation. Dad has kept his word of keeping them away, as far away since entitled aunt talked about sending me allergens that could kill me for my last present from her, that I haven't given them my new number, and neither has anyone else in the family since the previous incidents. My sister has learned her lesson because they are now trying to invade her with her boyfriend for Christmas. Both of them live 2,000 miles away from the rest of the family. They also want her to reserve vacation rentals along with her rented vehicle she's paying for. Sis, I love you, but keep your mouth shut around entitled aunt. This story could have easily been on the choosing beggar /entitled people /entitled parents subreddit. But anyway, if I were the OP, I would probably think about maybe getting a restraining order against the entitled aunt and the entitled uncle. If I were the OP, I would probably think about getting a restraining order or a no contact order from these people. Not because of the house, but because of the sending allergens or things that could make you sick as a present. I mean, that's really twisted stuff. I mean, just because of past differences or something. It's okay to try and threaten physical harm on somebody or to threaten their life. No, that's not okay. Not okay at all. Anyway, on to our final story. Our final story is posted by Sage GC. My roommate calls the cops on himself. To give some context, I am in a new country. The company I work for paid for my flight and my accommodations until I find an apartment. So I thought this would be an ideal way to get my ticket paid for and make some money for my travels. I took an apartment with 2 rooms that were not rented. I thought the landlord was nice and professional, and she did a lot of screening for me, so I assumed that she was the other tenant as well. Was I ever wrong? At first, everything was fine. 2 roommates from England, 1 man, 1 woman. My thought process, okay, we all speak English, we all smoke weed. This is most likely going to work out better than living with locals who are quite against toking. I'm from Canada and it's legal there, and I got quite accustomed to smoking every day. Before coming here, I sent a good friend some seeds from Canada and told him to get to work and keep half. So I have access to much better strain than locals. So, a week or 2 passes and I'm not enjoying living with these English folks. Never cleaning anything, leaving their dishes that they borrow from me, dirty in the sink for days on end, and making a big deal when I ask them to clean up, leaving wet towels on the floor, even without my Canadian politeness, a lot of other inconsiderate BS. They are always rude as a whole, refuse to learn the native language here because, I quote, everybody needs to learn English. Why would I bother learning their language? So here's the kicker. Money and weed have gone missing. Never in big amounts, just enough to go unnoticed. Now, I won't say I have OCD, because people who are neat often say that because they are particular. But I am extremely meticulous. Like, it's hard to skim from me without me realizing it. But without proof, it is unfair to point fingers. So I began locking my door. Now the male roommate tells me, I have a friend coming to visit from Scotland. He will be staying on the couch. Is that okay? I have no issue with it. The guy shows up and turns out to be a super cool DJ. Makes an effort to know the different languages. He's essentially like a Scottish version of me. So when I leave for the island for the weekend, I tell him he can use my room if he cleans the sheets. When I get back from the island, he says he caught the male roommate going in my stash and taking my weed. So I confront him and he says, come on man, I was just borrowing it. You know I was gonna pay you back. To which I replied, if you intended to pay me back, then why have you not mentioned taking it in the first place? He immediately gets defensive and steps towards me, leaving our chests practically touching. I put my hand on his chest to make a distance between us and say, listen man, step back, you don't want to make this physical. He gets back in my face and yells, what are you gonna do about it? I should add that I'm about 245 pounds and have been bartending for about 5 years. I'm quite accustomed to taking people out of the bar who are much bigger than I am, let alone this guy who is about 150 pounds soaking wet, with the body type of Waluigi, maybe. Yeah, or perhaps Sheldon from Big Bang Theory. Anyway, needless to say, he didn't expect the wallop that hit his jaw with 3 weeks of pent-up cleaning up your crap anger. He immediately goes from Hulk to Bruce Banner and begins shaking like someone in line at a methadone clinic, screaming that he's gonna call the police. I have to say, even though I hit him, I was still pretty calm and told him, look, you're not in any danger, I won't hit you again, but don't get that close to my face and yell, what are you gonna do about it? Because if you ask the question, you're gonna get an answer. He shouts, get the F back in your room, you're just gonna have to deal with the police when they get here. I'm not happy about this. I have a decent amount of green in my room that can result in several years in jail here. He knows this, so I begin hiding everything and eventually go to sleep. I wake up to the police officer knocking on my door and says, hello friend, how are you? To which I answer in his language, I've been better, my friend, but I will live, and proceeds to ask me what happened, and I tell him openly that I did hit him after warning him to step back away from me, etc. And I believe the best move for me is to leave and find another place to live. To which the male roommate says, well, I don't want you to leave. That alone baffles the police officer who doesn't know that this jerk only wants me to stay for my stash and connection to good plug because the weed here is terrible. So in the police eyes, he now looks like the world's biggest idiot who called the police for nothing. The cop says we can either all go down to the station or I'll stay here. We both said we didn't want to place charges. He gets a slap on the wrist for calling the police needlessly, but is warned that calling again without reasonable cause can result in fines, charges, etc. So, the next day I leave, take all my things, and he is really drunk, trying to convince me to stay. At 11 a.m., I refuse, and the Scottish friend he has staying there comes with me. We decide while out on the town that it would be really nice to live with each other as roommates, and he seriously doesn't want to stay with that jerk who called the cops. So, we get his things with a friend of his from Crete who has a car. Not sure if any of you have ever met anybody from there, but they're not to be messed with. Great friends, bad enemies. We get there, and the douchebag is trying to refuse to give the Scottish DJ his turntable back, undoubtedly because he can sell it for some hefty profit. He starts yelling, "You come back here with this guy, me, and this other effing guy who I don't even know, and I don't care who you are." To which the Cretan fellow replies, "My friend, you do not need to know who I am. All you need to know, if you don't give him back his turntables, I will shove my hand down your throat and pull your anus out through your mouth." The English douchebag begins to shake again and says, "Fine, I'll go and get them." Goes inside and tries to close the door on us. I shove my foot in the door and tell him to get the turntables. He runs into his apartment and slams the door. He doesn't answer. We keep banging. "Knock, knock, biatch." He says, "Go away or I'll call the police again." We all say, "Go ahead, call." He does, at which point I decide it may be a good idea for the DJ to call himself, so they don't arrive thinking we're breaking and entering. I dial and pass him the phone. He says, "Well crap, I don't want to talk to the police. You speak Greek. Here Roland, you speak with them." The Cretan says, "I don't like police. I don't want to talk to the police." He passes it to me, and I'm like, well crap, I don't want to talk to them, and hang up. The police arrive immediately. I show them the phone and say, "We are the ones who called." Explain to them that he is withholding the DJ's things. The douchebag answers the door, all cocky, thinking that he has us where he wants us. The police begin to inform him that he cannot keep another man's belongings, to which he insists that he can because the DJ owes him money. He shot himself in the foot with the worst excuse you can imagine. So the cops explain to him that he has to return it. He begins yelling at the police because he can barely understand the local language. Bet he wishes he'd learned some at this point now. And by now, all the neighbors are up, and a woman across the street comes out pointing at this douchebag saying, "He's always smoking pot here. He always smells like it, yada yada," to which he doesn't understand because he speaks zero Greek. And the cops say, "Oh, this jerk claims that he owes money for having to stay here. Before he was my friend, it was no big deal for him to stay. All of a sudden, I'm the favorite, so he owes money for staying on the couch." Anyway, the police take the DJ as well as the jerk to the police station. At this point, the DJ has no papers on him, so I take his passport and go down to the station. I've never seen anybody so happy to see me in my entire life. You could leave a dog for a month, and it would not be as happy to see you as this guy was to see me. With tears in his eyes, he says, "I thought you were gonna leave me here, and I'd have to live in prison." So tensions calm down, and we are joking with the police about swear words here, how beautiful the women are here in the country, etc. Then we see a douchebag being taken into a room with no chairs and no tables. We hear one cop say, "I think I see him reaching for your gun," and another one confirms seeing the same thing. For those of you who don't know, this guy is about to get the snot kicked out of him for wasting the police time and yelling at them, refusing to give the turntable, etc., like he is the worst. Like he had hidden the turntable 3 floors up in the laundry room, and the police were not happy about having to do extra work to find it. Blackmail is apparently a felony here, and he's also got charged with theft, possession of illegal substances for the little pot that he had stolen from me, resisting arrest, assaulting an officer. He was evicted and fired and got the snot kicked out of him by the police. He also had to go back to England, owing the company for his plane ticket, accommodations, and the break of contract fee, nearly 3,000 euros. The female roommate also called British authorities and informed them of what he did to the apartment when he got back. He now has a foreign criminal record and debt, the likes of which he will never be able to pay back, knowing his work ethic. I don't think I ever seen instant karma hit someone harder in my entire life. Wow, that was one hell of a doozy, if I could say so myself. Wow, that was a doozy. But you know what? This guy deserved it. I mean, all he had to do was not be a jerk, and he couldn't even handle that. So you know what? He got everything that was coming to him. I'd like to apologize for the excessive noise in the background, especially cars driving by and planes overhead. It's usually not that noisy. That's all the stories I have for today. If you enjoy my content, please like and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit the bell notification to let you know when I've uploaded new content. Head over to Reddit and drop a upvote for the OPs. Links to the original Reddit posts are in the description box below. Thank you for watching and have a great day.